What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the opinionated hippie, and this is part 2 of me ranking all the guitar solos on any given Frank Zappa album. Actually, just the ones released after he passed away. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rank the solos on that album, and then the solo that wins each album is viable to compete as the overall best solo. I know that makes no sense, as all 12 solos on one album might be better than all 20 solos on another album, but those are the rules, people. So today, going to discuss the 13 solos on Zappa 75. Not going to butcher those names. 2 Yugoslavian shows. Really good release. Recent. Was in my top half of my post releases. Pretty high up, like low 20s, I think, out of the 60 or so that have been released. But yeah, 13. I'm going to talk about them in order. And then when I'm done, I will, bam, put them on the page, on the screen, for you visual learners so you can actually look at them. But yeah, let's go. Number 13, San Bernardino. Pretty much the only solo that feels like it doesn't need to be there. It's kind of buried in the mix. It's in the middle of just that chugging, like sort of middle jam before we get to that awesome ending. Kind of really adds nothing whatsoever. I will say this though, the ending of this San Bernardino, the energy, I think it's Andre Lewis doing the, come on, let's go down, all the screaming and stuff like that, is, I'm going to say, the best ending to a San Bernardino. Like, out of all the ones that have been released, out of all the bands that have done it, as much as I love Adrian Belew, I think this is the version that is the best. It feels essential, like there's momentum at the end. It feels like the end of a show and you're getting everything out. The solo is forgettable. The ending is fantastic, so you should go check it out for that reason, and that reason alone. Number 12, Dirty Love. Short, sweet, does exactly what it's supposed to do. This is such a short solo that come the 80s and, come late 70s, early 80s, Frank would let somebody else play this solo because he couldn't be bothered to pick up his guitar for such a short duration. So feel thankful, be thankful that you have a Frank Dirty Love solo at this point. Number 12. Number 11, Carolina Hardcore Ecstasy. One of those that is a really sort of prominent vamp that I think kind of ties Frank into a certain sort of pocket. A lot of the solos in this show in particular have a very, I think, narrative quality about them. They start off kind of slow and you can feel Frank, you can hear Frank like sketching ideas, and then he takes these ideas and then starts to fill them in. And you're like, oh, this is the direction the solo is going. And then about 2/3 of the way through, you get a really good picture and he's like putting all the important pieces on, and then you know what the picture is. And like the last 30 seconds or so are like the final little details, the finishing touches that make it like excellent. That's not this solo. Carolina Hardcore Ecstasy is a straight ahead, pedal to the metal, just make it through this vamp, just start to finish type solo. Not bad, but again, it's not bringing anything that Frank doesn't already bring in other places. It's just a solo. Number 10, Advanced Romance. Another one that is a pretty like restrictive vamp, but I think Frank works this well. He rides that vamp early and then like starts the solo off, like he lets the vamp push the solo so you feel like they're connected. And it seems like he's working well with the solo. Seems like there's a cohesive sort of message to what he's playing. Really nice, strong, energetic ending. Advanced Romance, it just manages to rise above the restrictive vamp in a way that Carolina doesn't. But yeah, very much in the pocket. Frank is in this one. He's feeling this groove. He's there with this. Number 9, the opening, Stinkfoot. Love this opening. Frank takes his time developing the solo. It's kind of slow, really kind of, I don't want to say sweet, but it has this really nice, patient, like narrative quality about it. Like Frank's here. He's got a long show ahead of him. He's going to take his time. It's still going to be quality. You're just going to start off slow. We're going to peak. We're going to come back down and ease you into the rest of the show. Just a really nice, structured solo to like kick off the show. Number 9, Stinkfoot. Number 8, Muffin Man. It's a show, back end of the show. Leave it all on the floor. Muffin Man, rousing, awesome solo. It's what you expect from Muffin Man. Not being anything different, just a great, great, great Muffin Man. Number 8. Number 7, I'm the Slime. I rank these numerically. This one I rank slightly higher than Muffin Man, 0.1 actually, because it's bringing a little extra that an I'm the Slime doesn't seem to usually bring. Seems like we reached that point where Frank would normally wrap up the solo and we'd go back into the dun 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 dun, but Frank is more like, no, we're gonna keep going. And they just kind of like, it just seems a little more exploratory and a little more like, whoa, this I'm the Slime might really end up going crazy places. It doesn't. Goes a little bit longer and then it wraps up, but it feels there's like a jammy looseness to this that maybe not all I'm the Slimes have. Always love the solo, love the song live, but this one just a little bit more like Frank is really into playing the guitar at these shows, and you can hear it. And you can kind of hear how much fun they're having because once they return to like the closing theme, that just kind of goes on and on and on and on and on, and it seems like they just don't want to stop playing. I really like this show. Going back and re-listening to these solos, just the solos and what comes before and after them, man, from some phenomenal stuff. Number 6, Filthy Habits, an early version of the main theme. And then Frank just solos for like 3 minutes. Sounds like he's jamming. It's loose, it's playful, it's carefree. Bozio in particular feels like he's really, really feeling it and pushing Frank and just kind of going a little more crazier than he had earlier. This is the third song of a 3-song trifecta where you have Zappas Revenge, Zoodle, and then Filthy Habits. And all of those, Frank just feels like he's just loose. He's just jamming. He's just having a good time. Just like some great, great stuff. Yeah, excellent. Really good. Filthy Habits, number 6. Number 4 and number 5, I actually gave the same numerical score to, but for personal reasons, I put number 4 at number 4. And I, for almost the same personal reasons, just the opposite side of the coin, I put 5 and 5. 5 is Illinois Enema Bandit. Great guitar solo. Another one of those that kind of starts off slow. It develops. Once it develops, Frank is just in the pocket swinging and feeling it, and it's great. The energy level is good. It goes on and on and on, but in a way that you're never bored. Kind of gives you enough to satisfy you, but leaves you wanting a little more. Excellent solo, as is the Black Napkin solo at number 4. But the Black Napkin solo is a little bit more like hushed, maybe a little more secretive, and it's got intensity to it, but it's like the story it's telling is not this story of bravado and like arrogance, but it's this kind of creepier, more sinister little story, more delicate. Got to be more careful with the words you say. Maybe takes a little bit longer to develop, and then once it does develop, still stays in kind of like not too aggressive tones. Yeah. Again, very cohesive, both of them, but the Black Napkins picture just seems to be, I don't know, something special. Like, something special. Black Napkins, man. It's just, I don't know if it's the vamp, I don't know, it's Frank's approach to it, it's the way he thinks about it, but there's just something about this song that's just special. And I think that the Illinois Enema Bandit and Black Napkin solos are probably like equally great, but I just like the overall vibe of what Black Napkins is offering. A 0.00001 more to knock it to 4. But they're essentially tied. Number 3 and number 2 are both Zoodle. There's 2 Zoodle on this release. There's one tacked on at the end as sort of a bonus track. That is number 3, the bonus track. Number 1, the first one, is number 2. Both of these have the same format. You get the main head, then you get Frank kind of doing a little experimental soloing for a while, then you return to the theme, and then you get this long outro section that I refer to as the rapids, because it feels like you're like on a river, right? Because there's this weird sort of like kind of rushing, bubbling quality about the way the drums attack and the way just the rest of the band is sort of attacking while Frank is soloing. It's like there's this momentum to it, like to get someplace. But in the latter one, Zoodle number 2, which is number 3 ranking, it's the Whitewater doesn't get too crazy. You got some white caps and you got some like woo little thrills, but you don't have to like put any expertise into it. You're not worried about crashing on the rocks. You're not actually fearing for your life. That first one, which is ranked at number 2, those rapids seem to get pretty intense at the end, and you're like feeling like, oh no, we might lose control. Not the case on the second one. And the first part of the solo, the latter one, which is ranked at number 3, it's a little more predictable, a little more just Frank soloing in different styles, where that first one gets a little weirder, has little bursts of just really Frank trying to do weird things and Bozio responding and trying to like figure out what's going on. So the same template for both of them, but I think the first one that's on here just offers a lot more to like freak out about. But both of them are just Frank exploring the guitar in a ways it seems like he hasn't really explored it in a while. Just a new band, just new pockets, new songs, new ideas, and they're just both so exciting to see like what he would do with this now and like what he'd be doing with Zoodle by 76. Just fantastic stuff. And then number one, which is a cut above all the rest, I would say, that is Chunga's Revenge. Just a monster, like it's 8 or 9 minute solo, starts off kind of chill, and then Frank kind of immediately jumps into like a 5-5-5 jam that's pretty intense, not for very long, not too crazy, nowhere near what it sounds like on Shut Up and Play. And then after that, we go into this really long, just like, it's not even a guitar solo, it feels like at this point. It's just like this jam. Sounds like Trudging Across the Tundra off One Shot Deal. One of those sort of do, sort of just slowly developing but never really going anywhere jams that were common in the Wazoo tours. And that's where Trudging Across the Tundra comes from. And it's just like this, it's like you're almost just going across the desert and you're just kind of like traveling like this. And towards the end of the solo, Frank tries to like lift it up, like to bring a little intensity to it. And you can see Bozio's trying to come along, but the bass and the rest of the band is staying down here. So there's this weird sort of tension between the two of them that just makes the end of it a little more exciting. The solo as a whole doesn't really go anywhere. Like it doesn't feel like it goes somewhere, but it doesn't feel like it reaches this intense, like volcanic peak in which everything is released. It just feels like you're on a journey with Frank or having a real long conversation with Frank. And at the end of it, there's not some aha conclusion you come to. You're just like, oh, I really, really enjoyed that. Let's do that again sometime. Yeah, it's just fantastic. And it's patient and it's pretty at times. What else did I write down here? Folky at times early on when he's just playing with those chords. Yeah, man, it's a pretty absolutely spectacular solo. So Chunga's Revenge, my number one. But right there, that's all of them in order, 1 through 13. Yeah, so that's it. Chunga's Revenge has won the right to compete as the best solo released. And it's a pretty good one, man. It got a really high ranking, so we'll see how it does. But anyways, that's all I got for now. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, share, and go listen to music. Go listen to solos, people. Go listen to all the solos. Frank's an amazing guitar player. That's all I got to say. Peace. Talk to you later.